Welcome to the Magic Online Championship Series recap. I'm Rashad Miller, and I'll be going over the highlights of the second Last-Chance Qualifier. Last-Chance Qualifier number 2 was held on December 29th. This was an open event in which the winner would be invited to play in the Magic Online Championship happening at PAX East. 421 players battled it out and returned to Ravnica Limited, and the top 8 players then drafted RTR to determine the champion. Carbo 22 finished in first place and drafted Rakdos Aggro. Matchbox 20 finished in second place and drafted Izzet Aggro. Dubs Leet finished third and drafted Azorius Splash Red. Control QS finished fourth and drafted Golgari Splash White. Super Fluke finished in 5th place and drafted Izzet Aggro. Jabberwocky finished in 6th place and drafted Selesnya Splash Blue. Taurers finished 7th and drafted Azorius Aggro. And Silenced One finished in 8th place and drafted Golgari Splash Red. Let's get right to the top 8. Quarterfinals, Silenced One versus Carbo 22. Game 1, Silenced One used Stab Wound to neuter Carbo 22's early aggression and slowly eat away life points. Dagger Drone Imp gave Carbo 22 another source of offense, but it was Wild Beastmaster along with the threat of scavenge counters for Silenced One that took Game 1. Game 2 was the race between Deviant Glee Enchanted Deadbridge Goliath from Silenced One versus Deviant Glee Enchanted Sewer Shambler from Carbo 22. Normally, 7/6s get the job done faster than 4/2s, but Annihilating Fire and Explosive Impact from Carbo 22 helped finish off Silenced One in the second game. Game 3, Silenced One's removal kept most of Carbo 22's threats off the battlefield, forcing Carbo 22 to play defensively with Carnival Hellsteed. The Hellsteed wasn't enough to fend off an attack from Wild Beastmaster and friends, and Silenced One went on to the semifinals. Control QS versus Super Fluke. Game 1, Control QS and Super Fluke were in the race of the unleashed creatures, with both players dropping down to low life totals. It was the life gain from the White Splash in Control QS's deck that helped edge out Super Fluke in the first game. Game 2, Super Fluke came flying out of the gates while Control QS was very slow to get things going. Volatile Rig was Control QS's attempt to stabilize, but Traitorous Instinct stole the construct and Game 2 for Super Fluke. Game 3, Super Fluke had another fast start, but this time Control QS didn't do so bad keeping up. Niv Mizzet Draco Genius looked to seal the deal for Super Fluke, but a 7-point life boost from Heroes Reunion gave Control QS an extra turn to live and the win the next turn. Dubs Leet versus Jabberwocky. Game 1, Dubs Leet beatdown plan was halted by Jabberwocky's Tower and Indrik. When Dubs Leet found a Pursuit of Flight to attack through the Indrik, Dramatic Rescue removed that threat and won Game 1 for Jabberwocky. Game 2, Dubs Leet got 3 threats on the battlefield by the time Jabberwocky's first spell was played. The Tower and Indrik tried to deter creatures from attacking Jabberwocky, but the 2 Azorius Arresters that came down for Dubs Leet foiled that plan and forced the third game. Game 3, Dubs Leet again used Pursuit of Flight to get an early lead over Jabberwocky. After a bit of a struggle, Jabberwocky was able to get rid of that threat, but now, at this low of a life total, a couple of Azorius Arresters were able to finish the game for Dubs Leet. Matchbox 20 versus Taurers. Game 1, Taurus had a quick start, but wasn't able to do much damage before Matchbox 20 caught up. The battlefield remained cluttered with creatures on both sides until an overloaded Cyclonic Rift from Taurus cleared away Matchbox 20's team and ended the first game. Game 2, an overloaded Cyclonic Rift came from Matchbox 20 this time, but it wasn't enough to take the game from Taurus. Taurus did rebuild a board presence, but an overloaded Teleportal allowed Matchbox 20's creatures to take the match to a third game. Game 3, Taurus struggled to defend with only 3 land, while Matchbox 20 steadily poured the threats on and on. Overloaded Cyclonic Rift was the nail in the coffin as Matchbox 20 defeated Taurus and went on to the semifinals. Semifinals, Silenced One versus Control QS. Game 1, Control QS had plenty of removal for Silenced One's large Golgari monsters. Silenced One had a fair share of removal as well, but by the end of the game, Control QS's creatures stood alone and finished the job. Game 2, both players again traded their threats for answers from the start. When the answers stopped flowing, the threats kept going into a creature stall. In the midst of this, it was the slow and steady stream of damage from Stab Wound and Daggerdrome Imp that allowed Silenced One to edge out Control QS. Game 3 seemed like it was all Silenced One, as Control QS couldn't get much going on the battlefield. Traitor's Instinct from Silenced One turned Control QS's attempt to stabilize into a win condition. Silenced One went on to the finals. Dubs Leet versus Matchbox 20. Game 1, Dubs Leet made quick work of Matchbox 20 with Dryad Militant and Civic Saber. Matchbox 20 had only a Blood-Fray Giant unleashed and couldn't win the race. Game 2, Dubs Leet combined Dryad Militant and Pursuit of Flight, but was forced to play defense as Matchbox 20 was not shy about playing out creatures. Izzet Staticaster was the spell that removed one of Dubs Leet's blockers and allowed Matchbox 20 to force Game 3. Game 3, Dubs Leet's double Dryad Militant draw was met by Matchbox 20's Izzet Staticaster and Blood-Fray Giant. New Prov Guildmage hit the battlefield and detained the Giant until Dubs Leet was able to fly over Matchbox 20's opposing creatures and into the finals. And that brings us to the finals of the Magic Online Championship Series Last Chance Qualifier number 2, Silenced One versus Dubs Leet. Game 1. Silenced One has Drudge Beetle, Fencing Ace for Dubs Leet, Grizzly Salvage finds a Golgari Guildgate, Civic Saber on the Fencing Ace, and a Judge's Familiar. Rakdos Keyrune for Silenced One, Crosstown Courier for Dubs Leet. Karaz the Monitor for Silenced One plays defense, and Overloaded Teleportal gives Dubs Leet what looks like lethal damage. Yep, and that's Game 1. Game 2. Looks like Dubs Leet mulligans to oblivion. Guess it's time for Game 3. Game 3. Dubs Leet kicks things off with Azorius Arrestor, Gatecreeper Vine for Silenced One, Trestle Troll for Silenced One, a second Arrestor for Dubs Leet, and Dryad Militant as well. Daggerdrome Imp for Silenced One. Mizium Skin allows Dubs Leet to force through a little damage. Bus Strider hits play for Silenced One, Selesnya Sentry for Dubs Leet, Deadbridge Goliath for Silenced One, and a second Deadbridge Goliath. Overloaded Teleporter from Dubs Leet is going to allow a big attack. Swift Justice on the Selesnya Sentry will pad Dubs Leet's life total. Stab Wound on the only blocker will clear the way for Silenced One to take this game, and there's the concession. And we have a champion. Congratulations to Silenced One, Last Chance Qualifier number 2 champion. Now, if you'd like to see more coverage from this or any other Magic Online tournament, visit www.mtgonline.com. Thanks for watching the Magic Online Championship Series recap with me, Rashad Miller, and I'll see you next time for 2013 Season 1.